Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Aaron B. It's Taco Tuesday, and we got my guy Thad Bell. We're going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars draft recap and a little bit about the NFL draft as well. What's going on with that?
Nothing much, man. I appreciate you having me on. It was a good weekend last week watching the draft. A little disappointed in my team, but enjoyed the draft overall and, like all the chaos because really everybody didn't know what was going to happen. But after pick one, pretty much, and, they kept us on our toes, so I enjoyed it. But I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I didn't even realize how many players y'all drafted in this draft until I started looking at it like on Sunday. I'm like, oh. And there's some guys I actually knew a little bit because they were on the Cowboys target a little bit, like Lacey and Bixby. I heard a little bit about Strange as well. But
Yeah, we got a lot of draft picks from, trading back with our first overall pick and stuff. So, yeah.
sir, but I wanted to get first into it. Who was your favorite Jags pick y'all had?
For me of need, I would say the first pick, but for the value pick, I gotta go Antonio Harrison. I know you're a Texas guy. I don't know if you watch him at Texas A&M, but he's a more physical. He's a bigger safety. He's a hard
Oh
hitter. 6'1", 198, 197, if I'm not mistaken. He can play nickel and safety, and nickel's like our biggest need. Because I was mad that, with our first pick, I'm glad we traded back and got value. And then we got Anton Harrison, which was a need with Cam Robinson being suspended. But I wanted us to get a nickel with our first pick. Like Brian Branch was sitting right there. Joey Porter was sitting there. He could have gone to the outside, and we moved Darius Williams on the inside to the slot, even though he's better on the outside. But I got to go Antonio Johnson. I feel like he's a guy. Some people say he's a special teams guy, but I feel like he's gonna play right away, in my opinion. Nickel's a big need, and Trey Herndon's our starting nickel. If the season started today, and I've seen him play for a couple of years, he's okay. Like he's a great story, undrafted guy, but he's not gonna get it done anymore. We got bigger aspirations. This is not the Jags that are picking first overall. We're going to win the AFC South and win playoff games. So we need guys that can step up immediately. And I think Antonio Johnson in the right position. Um, I think he'll be a guy that produces for us early. One of our later round draft picks is going to play early.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's actually one of my first out of y'all's draft is Antonio Johnson. Got to see a little bit. He can hit, and like you said, he's got the versatility. He'll definitely be a good fit. And y'all got him in the sixth round. I thought he would honestly have been that third and fourth round. And
Yeah, man. Every mock they said they had, he was going before the fourth round. So great, like I said, great value pick right there in the fifth round.
yeah, there's a lot of players in this draft that you just seen drop down all the way down to the sixth round. Like that was the big sweet spot for like running back, safeties, and there was a couple there were receivers on the board that went all the way to
John
the seventh.
Boutte
Yeah,
from LSU.
yeah, it was that all the field issue, and then he didn't have the production like he had the year before. Because I honestly think if it was the year before, he would have been like a first or second round type of receiver. But
Yep.
I think that would be something where if he's serious about it, I think he'll make a comeback where you're like, okay, he could be that guy
Yeah.
that came out of LSU. I think he has the talent.
I don't think that's a bad pick for the pass, especially in the sixth
Uh-uh.
round. Like he didn't. I know he didn't run fast. He didn't even want to run the 40, and then his vertical was like 29. So he's not that explosive, but he's a football player. You know that as a former athlete, some guys are not the fastest and strongest, but they have game speed, and
Yeah.
that's a different thing. So
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that we could use as an example that didn't test well in the combine, but became Hall of Famers or damn near about to be Hall of Famers. It's not always about the underwear Olympics, like a lot of people call the
yeah,
combine.
nah, for real. That's how Anthony Richardson got drafted number 4 overall. I mean, his tape was okay. There was flashes there, but the combine really took it over the top.
Yeah, media likes to spin this thing where they put them at a high praise. Like if they look like somebody that was really good at one time,
Yeah,
they're like oh, he's gonna be the next Cam Newton. I'm like, that's putting a lot of pressure on the kid that's going into to the NFL. Like, don't put high expectation on him right now. Just let him be the best Anthony Richardson he can be.
for sure. Doing the same thing with Caleb Williams, even though I think he's going to be a good player, but they're doing that with him and Pat Mahomes already before he was
Oh
even close.
yeah, I seen that post. I was like, dang, why y'all doing that kid like that? He didn't even his second year at USC, and you're already saying he's gonna be the next Patrick Mahomes. Like that's a lot of pressure. So the next topic is which Jags pick was the biggest head scratcher to you in your honest opinion?
I think this is unanimous. The first three picks were solid. The running back was not the biggest head scratcher because you need two backs in today's game, but it had to be the next pick, Ventrell Miller. The year before, we just traded up to draft Devin Lloyd, and then we drafted Chad Moon in the third round, if I'm not mistaken. And the only way this is a good pick is if he takes one of their jobs, or when Foye leaves in a couple of years, he takes over the reins. But to take a guy in the fourth round when we had many other needs, there were still some nickels on the board. I can't remember exactly. I know Ringo had just left. Maybe if Ringo was there, we would have took him because I know Philly took him in the fourth round. But
Yeah.
Ventrell Miller was a head scratcher. We have three linebackers right now. They can all pretty much start, and we drafted another one when only three can play at the same time. We run a 4-3 and a 3-4 at times, but if we're running the 3-4, one of the linebackers is going to be Josh Allen dropping in coverage. So I don't know how he really, gets on the field that much unless he takes a spot. So.
Yeah.
But I will say I watched a little of his tape in Florida, and I have some friends that, watch every single game and every down. They watch all 22 and everything. They said he was one of their better players, but like I said, unless he's a steal, I think this was not the best draft pick in the fourth round. He could have gone some other ways.
Yeah, he's more going to be like a depth piece because y'all, like you said, y'all got a talented linebacking core. Like he's not going to get that playing time. And when you're looking at a lot of linebackers in that fourth round, usually expecting them to start because a lot of people don't draft a linebacker in the first round unless he's this top epsilon prospect coming out of college. But if they're like a solid piece, you could find that type of player. But like you said, they shouldn't have drafted a linebacker so early. Maybe in that sixth round or something like that. But he's still. I actually watched a little tape on him, and I actually like what I saw. But it just, I get what you're saying about it being a head scratcher.
Yeah, no, I mean he might play special teams. I guess that's the way he can make the roster. But like he has to take a spot unless it's a wasted pick. Like I kind of like the guys we got. I think Devin Lloyd's pretty solid, but hey man, I want the best players on the field. So if he takes a spot, he takes a spot.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. So the next topic: what do you grade the Jags draft overall? You can be honest.
Yeah. This is a tough one because I don't know how the later round picks are going to pan out. The first three picks are solid. Like I'm going to go through the draft just a tiny bit. Anton Harrison's an athletic tackle. We're going to need him off the jump. Evan Ingram got signed to the franchise tag, so that means normally we couldn't come to agreement on a long-term deal, which means he might leave after this year, especially if he has another good year. So you need to draft another tight end. And Strange he's a twitchy guy. Like
he is.
Yeah, Penn State was not the best. I guess they're okay offensively, but he could have produced more than other school, I feel like. But his run after the catch and his ability getting open, separating is pretty athletic for a tight end. I'm pretty sure he played other positions before he went to tight end. So I like that pick. And Bigsby, obviously, he's a home run hitter in a way. He's very explosive. Having him as another change of pace back with Travis Etienne will be very good. But after that, it's kind of a drop off. We did need some edge rushers, which we got, and we got some corners in the 6th and 7th round. But I'd say I'd go with a B. That Antonio Johnson pick helps out because that 4th round pick really made me mad. And then with the 1st round pick, you got to protect your investment, which I understand as a former quarterback. Like you have to protect Trevor Lawrence. But there were some other positions we could have gone. And like the scouts were talking about, there was after the guy, I forgot his name from Pittsburgh, Roger Jones went. They said there was a little drop off at tackle. So I'm not saying we reached because they said the Raiders might have got him at 12 as well, but there were, we could have gone edge rusher. Miles Murphy went a pick after that. I don't know how he's going to pan out, but we'll talk about that later. And, you have some corners and safeties that were still on the board at the time. So, I mean, if he turns out to be a stud, I'm all for it. So, but after that, I didn't really watch too much from the guys. I know Tyler Lacey was a pretty solid player, but Abdullah and the cornerback from Rutgers, I'm not too high on, just yet. But we'll see how it pans out. But I'm going to give us a B on the dot. Actually, a B minus. I'm sorry. A B minus.
Okay, yeah, B minus. I could see that in or B. I guess when you think of a B minus, you're like, okay, there's players on this list that I'm still kind of iffy on, but if they show there's something when it comes to the season, then that's what you're looking at when it comes to like the B minus.
For sure.
Yeah. So our next topic on here is where do you see the Jags now, including y'all's draft and y'all free agency? Where do y'all see yourselves now in the AFC South?
I still see us as first, but I will say, in free agency, we didn't really do much because we spent a lot of money last year. And
Yeah,
Calvin Ridley resigned and Evan Ingram. We did some of the small things. We brought players back. We retained players, which is a big thing for us. But I will say, bro, we're gonna finish first this year. But the draft, our AFC South counterparts, they all had good drafts in my opinion. The Texans had a really good draft. The Titans had the worst draft. Well, the third worst. I think we had the worst in a way. I got to look at the Titans draft a little more, but I definitely think that the Colts and the Titans had the best draft, the best two drafts out of the division, especially with the Colts getting Josh Downs in the third round. I thought he would have went a little earlier than that. He's a
right.
nice, very good slot receiver. Um, and then you got the Texans getting Will Anderson and Stroud, and then in the sixth round, I think it was sixth round. I'm pretty positive it was Xavier Hutchinson, a
Yeah, I was
receiver we
still.
had on the draft. He was on my Jags board. I wanted us to take him in shoot the fourth round, but
I don't know
we
how he
got
dropped to 7.
and didn't the linebacker from Alabama go to them too?
Oh
Henry.
yeah, yeah, Henry did too.
They were just taking a whole bunch of players that I watched on Saturdays and watched some tape on and was
Um,
really intrigued by. So
yeah, I could
they
pull.
all took the draft, but if we don't win the division, I know this is crazy coming from a Jaguars fan. This season was a failure if we don't win the division. It's set up for us. We have the best quarterback off rip, unless Anthony Richardson is Cam and Pat Mahomes mixed. I don't know how to describe him. He says Lamar and Cam, but yeah, whatever that is. But unless one of those guys go crazy or we have a complete drop off or a major injury, I don't see any way that we don't win the division. I know we do have a first place schedule. We have a lot of tough teams coming to town, but I just don't think these teams can compete right now. Like, I mean, the Titans are always scrappy, as we always know, but I don't think the Texans are there just yet. They have a lot of good young players. Like, they're coming sooner than we think. Like, I say by the end of next year, people will be talking about them, being ready to compete a little bit. But Titans, no, it's Ryan Tannehill, Levis. I'm not buying into that right now. In the
Nah,
Colts, nah. And the Colts are, I mean, they're okay. They got Jonathan Taylor and A. Rich. That could be a nasty little power run scheme combo with the read option and a whole bunch of things they could do with those guys. But Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce don't scare me. Josh Downs is going to be good, but those guys don't. They don't scare me. So yeah, man. Like, I'm not even being a homer. Like, I always have faith in us, but I really don't think there's any way we can't win the division. Like, there's no way we shouldn't end the season 10-7, 11-6, holding the crown. Maybe even higher than that, but our schedule's tough. So
yeah, I just don't because I see the Colts as like a fun team, but I don't see them as a playoff team just yet. Houston Texans just got a new head coach, so for these past 3 years, they didn't have go after coach, and now they got D'Amico Ryans. I think they're gonna think as the head coach now because Lovie Smith was just there for a short time, and then the coach before that. So it's like getting everything acclimated with all these young players. I don't see them as the playoff team yet. So I honestly think the Jaguars will be the AFC South champion, but I think y'all gonna have a little competition between those three teams. Titans, I think they're gonna have a big drop off. They're really outside of Derrick Henry and their defense. It's just like they're like in this rebuild, but they honestly don't want to go through the rebuild.
it's Mike
It's a weird
Rabel. It's
situation.
Mike Rabel.
Yeah,
Mike Rabel.
yeah. I think he's like super old school type of coach. Like he would have fit in those early 2000s and 90s days, but it's just his type of style is not working in this league anymore.
I still think he's a very good coach. I just think he's not okay with the losing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So what is the next one? So our next one, which pick in this draft shocked you for how low they went or how high they went?
Are you talking about the Jaguars or just the draft in general?
This is draft in general.
Um. Okay, first round, I'd say Gibbs obviously going at 12. I did have him
I
as a
agree.
first round back, but in the 20s, he even said the 20s himself, like from the 23 to 28 range. Keely Ringo going in the fourth round when at the beginning of the mock drafts, like the 1.0 and 2.0, he was going in the first round in most of them. Ah, man. Who else? Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Michael Mayer, I expected him to go in the first round. He went early second, but still. And
Who
I
did he
was
go
I was
to?
definitely shocked about Levis. I'm gonna be honest. I thought like a team was gonna fall in love with the big arm. The Josh Allen comparisons. Oh, we can't miss out on that. But they stand pat. But it sounded like the Colts were gonna take him if A. Rich was going. So they would have been the one team to do it. But him sitting, I didn't expect him to get out the first round. Like all those other teams that popped up, they could have took a shot at him. Like the Commanders, even though they're sold on Sam Howell, the Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, like a whole bunch of teams could have took a shot on him, but they went for needs over the project. So that's all I can pretty much think of at the time. This one doesn't really count, but Christian Gonzalez, I had him going in the top 10, but he slid all the way to what, 17 to the
Yeah,
Patriots.
17. I was shocked about that one.
Yeah, he was my first corner on my list, but other than that, I can't think of anything else too crazy. No. And Jalen Carter going to 10. I mean, we heard the rumors and stuff, and then his attitude didn't really help with him saying like I'm only taking top 10 visits. I get, they see you're gonna be top 10, but the character and stuff goes a long way. So
Yeah,
that's about it for me.
yeah, that would definitely throw a lot of teams off, is just saying stuff like that. And just honestly, I think it's a good pick by the Eagles, but you got to put in consideration those character issues. Like, is that going to linger on to his career, or is it that was just during the draft? Like, I think that's the biggest question that comes with the Jalen Carter, because the talent's there. It's just like those little off the field issues, and then at his pro day and everything. And I think that's the biggest question about him.
Oh yeah, before you move on or say yours, I forgot to add one because I
Oh,
said
okay.
something about it on Twitter and then you commented. Stetson Bennett going in the fourth round was a shock to me. I mean, I guess he was supposed to get drafted because of what happened the last 2 seasons, but him going in front of Dorian Thompson Robinson didn't sit right with me because I used to stay up late. Either I was out watching a game in a bar or something, or
Yeah.
going out to the club, and I'll be watching UCLA play at like 12:30. And he was clearly a better quarterback. You put him on Georgia, they're still going to win the Natty. So him going in the fourth round after the stuff that happened off the field too is kind of wild. Is that saying he would have went in the third or second round? I highly doubt it. But the fact that he went in the fourth round after all that off the field stuff, and he was already 25. I mean, I guess it is what it is. But I was shocked about that one too.
Yeah, that was probably one of my biggest shocks when I seen it on Twitter, seeing that Stetson Bennett got drafted in the fourth round. I would have seen him maybe in the sixth or going undrafted.
Yeah.
I guess just being the highly getting all those awards and everything in those two natties at Georgia, I guess that gave him a boost. But I don't know about him being like the future of the Rams or something. I hope that's not their situation. They're thinking about having him after Matthew Stafford, because I don't really see that. Maybe I'm wrong, but the one that really I was shocked about, like you just said, was the Christian Gonzalez one. I thought he had definitely been like a Detroit Lion pick, and they went with Jameer Gibbs with the
12.
12th pick, and he went all the way to the Patriots. Like, that's like the perfect landing spot for him, because the Patriots always had really good defensive backs, going back to Ty Law and some the McCourties and trying to think.
Gilmore for a couple of years too.
Yeah, yeah, just going there, I think would definitely be a good fit now with Gerard Mayo and Steve Belichick as the defensive coordinators. They're definitely gonna. I definitely could see him being like one of those top 10 corners in the near future. Maybe not this year. This is gonna be his rookie year where he's gonna be learning and everything. But I think that was the biggest shock to me, and that Stetson Bennett pick was that day 3 pick. I'm like, okay, why are we picking this guy so early?
Yeah, they're walling for that one for sure. I'm
Sir.
so sorry, man. I can't believe you pulled that one up. That was one pick I forgot to talk about. It is one of my favorite picks. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't really know much about him because obviously I said with Strange, Penn State offense wasn't really, the most potent, most fun to watch.
Yeah,
But this guy can play in the slot. He's a yak guy. I love not yak, rack, run after catch guys. Like
yeah,
he can make plays. There's Christian Kirk. He's more of a route runner than a run after catch guy. Like
I agree.
if you really watch him, like I guess Texas A&M and Arizona, I didn't really watch him, but watching him every game, like he doesn't. There's some NFL players like this. He doesn't really want to get hit like that. This guy will look for contact sometimes. He's not afraid to lower his shoulder. He plays really hard. and we got him in the 6th round too. I remember this pick because it was a head scratcher, and then
Yeah, that's a good pickup. Is because he's like the total opposite what Kirk is. Like you were saying, he's not the one that wants contact, but Parker Washington is kind of like he's built like a running back, and when he catches the ball, he's looking for contact. Like he's one of those little running backs. So like that's a good pick.
yeah.
I don't know how he went to the 6th round.
I didn't really watch him enough. I didn't know, but once I watched a little film on him, I definitely I like what I saw. But like you have to think about it long term in the draft. Like I guess you go for more needs in the earlier rounds. In the later rounds, you can look toward the future, I guess. Even though you want most of these guys produced now. But like when you look at it, none of our receivers are really young. Like Christian Kirk is 26. He's on a longer term deal with Calvin Ridley's 28. Zay Jones he's not like we don't have anybody that's a guarantee that's going to be here in 5 years. Like we really have to start drafting receivers. Like, all right, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, they're here for at least the next 5 years. I'm pretty sure. Some guys in the secondary, like Tyson Campbell or Cisco, I feel like they're going to be longer term guys. But the younger guys, the older guys, like in the receiving core, we got to start rebuilding for our quarterback. We got to, keep it fresh with weapons and stuff. Even though Ridley can play for a while, but hey,
I had to put that on there just so because I remember I did a video with Cruz and it skipped out on the video, so I didn't want to do that on this show. So I was like, let me put that on there real quick.
Oh no, you're good, man. You're good.
Sir. So
yeah, man. As Deshaun Johnson right now, I really think he's going to be one of those guys that can contribute. And we love those DBs that can play in the box and not afraid to come down here and tackle.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one out of y'all's day 3 picks. Him and Parker Washington. Like they're showing all the picks. To be honest with you, so that's fine. So, second to last thing I wanted to ask is, who is your early prediction when it comes to who's going to be the offensive rookie of the year and who's going to be your defensive rookie of the year?
All right, for defense is unanimous for me, but for offense, I kind of chose 2. I picked Bijan and Bryce Young. I don't know who. Like I'm still stuck. With Bryce, I know some people are surprised. Their number 1 overall pick, terrible roster, but I kind of like some of the pieces they're surrounding him with. Adam Thielen's a solid old vet. He's not, what he used to be, but he's still solid. DJ Chark is a deep threat, can take the top off of defense. Then you still got Terrence Marshall there, and I forgot the guy's name they got from Ole Miss.
Mingo. Jonathan Mingo?
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo. He's kind of like A.J. Brown in a way, that big physical receiver. So Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, the O-line's getting better. They drafted there the past couple of years with Ikwamu. I think that's how you say his name, from NC State, the tackle they took last year, top 10. So I don't think that they're that bad. And then you got Frank Wright, Josh McCown, all those offensive minds in there, coming up together with a nice game plan. And then you got a very smart quarterback. So I think they're going to be, a team to shock people. And if they win the division, that would go in his favor, winning, Rookie of the Year, because that division is very average. But with Bijan, Arthur Smith, he loves to run the ball. Like, they're one of the only teams in the league that run the ball more than they throw it, which I would hate if I was a fan of and the quarterback of the team. But, you got to win football games. Came from Tennessee, that tough, grind it out, play defense style of football. I'm not mad at it, but with Bijan and that run game scheme, for me, like, it's kind of hard to say him because I feel like it's going to open up more for, Drake London and Kyle Pitts and those other guys. But Bijan, if he's like what I saw on film and in Texas, I think he's going to be one of those guys. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think him and Gibbs are like guaranteed going to be like at least a couple time Pro Bowlers in their career. Like they're going to be good players.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just think with that run heavy style scheme, man, Bijan's bound to go for like 1,300 as a rookie. I think he can be ready to go now with Bryce Young. His team's not that bad, and they're in a bad division. You put together a 9-8 season and some pretty solid stats. They'll give you the offensive rookie of the year. You know how they live with quarterbacks.
All right.
And on defense, I do have a second one. I'll say him first, but I'll keep it short for him. Miles Murphy.
Oh, you good.
Miles Murphy going to Cincy late in the first round. I think that's a really good pick. Him on the other side of Trey Hendrickson. I think we'll, do some things. And DJ Reader's there still, correct?
Yeah, DJ
Reader in the middle. So that front four is not that bad in Cincy. And I think they'll, the way they play, he'll have some one-on-one matchups. And I think he's a solid edge rusher. But for me, it's It's going to be Will Anderson, I think. D'Amico Ryans, they're going to run that 4-3 defense and just basically let him pin his ears back, not have to drop in coverage or do all that fancy stuff. Like, basically just go get the ball. Don't be too committed to the pass game because they will throw a screen behind your head or they will run, certain type of a counter or something to get you out of your gap. But other than that, man, I think he's going to be real successful in that scheme. And like people, like to discredit him for his last season at Bama, but once you get like 15 sacks, coaches aren't dumb in the SEC. They're going to slide to you. They're going to double team. They're going to do all that stuff. They're going to chip you with a running back or the tight end. Like, they're not going to let you just pin your head back and go get the quarterback. So that's why his, production diminished. But I still think he's a very good player. And then when you go to the league, pretty much not everybody's as good as you. If you're really that guy, you're better than most. But you got a good D tackle or good D in on the other side to where they can't double team you. So a lot of free rushers, and I think D'Amico Ryans is gonna, set him up for success. So I think Will Anderson is the most like out of Bryce Young and Bijan. I don't know, but Will Anderson, I really think he will. I think he'll get the defensive player of the year.
Yeah,
so he doesn't sack Trevor Lawrence too much.
Yeah. Honestly, I think like you were saying, I think they're gonna simplify his what he's gonna be doing for the Texans. D'Amico Ryans is a former Bama guy. This was definitely one of his picks. He's a defensive minded guy. You've seen what he did with the 49ers and he did with the Fred Warners and the Greenlaws. I think he's gonna have. I'm not saying they're a similar player. They're definitely not, but just what they could do with a Will Anderson, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun in Houston. I think he's gonna be one of those guys you're gonna see getting those Pro Bowl nods and everything, and I think he's gonna be one of those top guys in the near future. It maybe not be this year, but in a couple years, you could definitely see that in Will Anderson's tape when he was at Bama. I think he'll transition to the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. They're not gonna make it too hard on him.
Yes, sir.
When you get fancy, that's how you mess up some players. But we have Josh Allen and stuff trying to drop in coverage and stuff, and it's just not his thing. And hopefully our D coordinator, figures that out this year. But it's just not his thing, man.
That's certain. There's a lot of thing about defensive coordinators. A lot of them want to build their system instead of building the system around what their talent. Because really good defense coordinators and coaches are going to build a good defensive offense built on what the talent they got, not just like, okay, I ran this defense here, we're going to run it here, but your talent doesn't. It's like you're saying, Josh Allen's not a coverage guy. He's the guy that's going to like drop down and try to go for he's going to build pressure. He's not I think he's like trying to make him Fred Warner. He's not that type of guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't do that. You just put your guys in position to succeed. Yeah. Don't put him in position to fail. He's an edge rusher. He's 6'5", 260. He's not the most agile guy. He can't guard who's in our division they're not really that athletic. But the tight end from Tennessee I can't even pronounce his last name.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Not Tennessee. That's Jelani Woods. I'm talking about the guy from Tennessee.
Yeah, it was Tennessee. I can't pronounce. He went to Maryland last year.
I can't say it. He was killing us both times we played him. It starts with an O, but even Jelani Woods for the Colts, you got a lot of young, good tight ends, athletic guys, and you can't put them one-on-one on third down. They love doing it on third down. Like, I understand. I get how defenses work when you call that fire blitz or a free safety overload from the left, and then to the right side, you got to drop that D in coverage, but just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe the offenses scheme around it and, they're ready for the call and they have something for it. But every time he drops in coverage, they're throwing over his head and he's just unaware of what's going on. So let's just have my guy rushing coverage. Or maybe cover the back on a swing route. Don't have him covering no tight ends 15 yards down the field.
Yeah. And that tight end out of Tennessee, he kind of reminds me, not saying it is, he kind of reminds me what they had when they had Delaney Walker. Not the biggest tight end, but he's very athletic and
yes.
Take the top off of defense type of guy, those short, stocky tight ends that surprisingly are just fast as hell, and that's what you see in that kid. I'm going to eventually try to pronounce his name, but I'm not going to do it tonight because I butchered enough names yesterday, so we're going to leave it at that. But my last question is not even a football question. I was thinking about this. I was like, what is like one snack you can't live without? Like that's your go-to snack. If you can never see it again, that'd be like, man, I can't It would upset you.
You got to give me like a minute or two.
Oh, you're good.
Snack, like, is it for game day or is it just like it's just a snack?
Let's say just something you pick at the gas station or at the grocery store, and it just like something after a long day. You're like, hey, this is my go-to snack to go with.
Ah, that's tough. I don't really have that. I'd rather eat a meal, but a go-to
I
snack, like
feel
say
you.
I'm on the road, we stop to the gas station.
Road
Um,
trip snack then.
yeah, like all right. Have you ever been to Buc-ee's in Florida?
Oh, y'all got a Buc-ee's in Florida? Oh, we got them in Texas.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a Florida thing. I
No,
haven't been to
that's
Texas in
sick.
so long.
Oh, for
So
real?
you know how it's big. You know the little praline pecans they have. They
I
come
know
in
about them. I'm allergic to nuts, but I know what you're talking
a,
about. I know a lot of people
they
love
come in
them.
a bag. I think they used to sell them at NFL games too back in the day. They don't sell them anymore, but like the NFL games or baseball games, they used to sell them. Those,
I remember that.
if you go to Buc-ee's or I don't know, man, maybe some cashews. I like chips. I like a different variety of chips.
Okay.
Candy, like I just switch it up, bro. I don't really do the same thing.
Uh, So you kind of expand your palate in a way. Like when it comes to snacks, you're not like, okay, this is the only snack.
Yeah, I don't try anything too crazy or some like I think those what are they called? Like the grandma's cookies, the vanilla cookies. I'll do that and like a Sprite or something, or I don't know, or water. Yeah, I switch it up. But if I'm going to like go to for chips, it'll probably be Doritos, and I don't know which one. Like I'll
Okay.
eat any type of chip. I'll eat Ruffles, uh,
You ever?
anything, bro.
What do you think of the baked lays? Do you like those?
Baked Lays, no sir, no
Ah,
sir. You
dang.
got me on those. They used to put them in a little bag in school, not daycare, but like middle school. They used to always have it in the lunch line, and I used to hate it. Like where the regular Lays.
I
I mean, the
get you.
regular ones are okay, but the other flavor, like the barbecue ones, not those are terrible. I can't eat those, man. The baked barbecue Lays, I can't do those.
I don't like barbecue flavored chips at all because it just tastes like a bunch of sauce. They don't. I'm like, I'd rather just put barbecue sauce on my barbecue, not have them in chips.
Exactly. Nah,
Yeah,
nah. I'm glad you said that. I said pretty much all chips, but I will not eat the bacon lays. I remember those vividly from when I was a kid. I used to hate it. I used to
I
hate
didn't.
it.
I would try to give you bad flashbacks from middle school.
Nah, I remember that. Like that was the only option for chips, and then the lunch wasn't very good back then, so it was bad.
Yeah,
But
lunch. There was only like a few things that were really good, and then there's like there'd be days you're like, I'd rather just bring my own lunch this today.
it got to that point, and then sometimes my mom would be mad at me because I'd be late for like running to the bus, late to the bus. She told me I had to start packing my own lunch. So once she told me that, I never looked back.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty, I'm not that picky. I just don't like for drinks. I don't like certain stuff. I don't like fruity drinks, but food wise and gas station wise, I pretty much eat anything. But I don't trust gas station food like the real food inside. Bucky's like my dad got pulled pork. I'm like, nah, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting no pulled pork from the gas station.
You don't do the food at Bucky's.
I'm missing out, bro. Like I just don't trust it. I had one bad experience. The food looked so good. It looked so prepared, and I had food poisoning. I was sick for like I don't get sick often. Like I might get sick one time a year, like where I'm like really sick, like throwing up and stuff. And I was sick for like 4 days. So I was like, nah, can't do gas station food anymore. I don't care how good it looks, what the presentation looks like. I'm not doing it. I'm not
I
doing it.
I get you. I was like that when I went to this soul food restaurant in Oklahoma when we lived there, and
Hmm.
it, and I couldn't eat meatloaf for the longest because I had bad food poisoning. I wouldn't even eat meatloaf at the house. I'd be like, no, I can't do that. It took me like a good 5 years before I honestly could eat meatloaf again. So I get what you're coming from with the gas station food poisoning. Like after you get food poisoning, you're like, I don't want to touch it no more.
Oh yeah. My brother ate Panda Express and he hasn't ever had it since. I don't think it's the best Chinese food, but
It's not.
that was like man, he was like 9 years old and he's like 21 now. He still won't eat it. Like if that's the only thing available, he was like, nah, I'll just go to sleep and eat in the morning. Like it's that bad. But
I,
yeah, nah, the bad soul food, that's a no-go because I really trust not every soul food restaurant, but I'm not like I'll just if it doesn't look the best, I'll go with what I know. But
yeah.
some bad meatloaf, that's not good. I was late on meatloaf. I wasn't really fond of it until I got older. I just tried it. Because I don't like ketchup, but I tried it and
Uh,
pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. I think meatloaf is better, like with the gravy, like the brown gravy. The ketchup sometimes is a little too much.
Yeah.
Is the people overdo it. Shit, we
I,
over.
yeah, I don't like a lot of ketchup. Like people that I don't even put ketchup on fries anymore, bro. I'll just put seasoning on it and call it a day. I know that's a little. I don't know. I went through this weird phase where I stopped liking a lot of stuff. Like my family said I was a little weird for. I don't like cheese grits anymore or cheese eggs. Like I'll eat them plain with if they're seasoned right, but
Yeah,
cheese on them, I'm good. I don't know what happened, but I just don't like it on there. It's weird, but I just don't like cheese on certain stuff.
yeah.
So same thing with tomatoes and I don't know. But bad meatloaf is a no go because meatloaf is very good.
It is, and it took me a good minute to get back into meatloaf. Like I just can't touch it. But man, I almost forgot we were talking about football for a little bit. We got deep into
Nah,
this.
it's all good. Got sidetracked a little
Uh,
talk. It's all
yeah,
good.
yeah. But hey, I appreciate you, bro, for getting on the show. Before I let you go, where could they find you at and everything? Where they could go follow you and any future projects going on and everything?
Yes, sir. You can follow me at What the Game Means to Me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Me and Jelani should have a show by the end of this week. I have graduation coming up on Saturday, so might
Congratulations.
not be able to do it on Friday, but looking forward to a show on Wednesday or Thursday and kicking up the content because the season is coming. The draft came fast, so the season will be here before we know it. And the summer's here, so looking forward to everything that it's going to take place this year. And I appreciate you having me on, bro. Talking the draft, it was a fun time. I pretty much watched every day. On Saturday, I had it on both TVs, but on Thursday and Friday, that was the only thing I was watching.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. But hey, congratulations on graduating. That's a big accomplishment because I know you're getting your MBA.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely congrats on that. I hope the best for you on there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah. This has been Tacos and Touchdowns. Y'all have a good one.